Are you sick and tired of the same old legal tech conversations? Do you pine for something new? Hey, me too. Here's the good news. We've got something entirely novel just for you and for thousands of other listeners. But forget about that right now. It's just me and you talking. Welcome to the Adventures in Legal Tech podcast. Sounds really exciting, right? On the show, we explore effective solutions to unique technology issues. After every episode, you'll leave with actionable next steps that you can use to solve the everyday technology problems you're facing in your law practice. It's like Extreme Home Makeover, Law Edition. I'm your host, Jared Correa. I'm the CEO of Red Cave Law Firm Consulting, and I talk tech with lawyers nearly every damn day. Just think of me as a less interesting version of Arsenio Hall, and we'll do just fine. Now, everybody says they're going to show you how to use legal tech the right way, but we actually mean it. Here's why and how. Each episode will lay out a specific pain point in detail so you'll know exactly where we're headed. Then, after we've laid out the problem, our guests will tell us how to solve it. We've got down-to-earth tech commentary you can understand and then execute on so you can get access to all those amazing technology features you've heard so much about, right? Now, without further ado, our vexing problem for this week is as follows. Belly Conklin is a new attorney at a mid-sized law firm, and she's trying to find her groove. She wants to start deploying AI in that practice, but the rest of the firm is not quite ready for that. They don't even have an AI policy yet. She's brought up her interest more than a few times, but nothing's happening. What should a new associate do to drag her law firm into the 21st century? All right, our guest today is Harshita Ganesh, who is an attorney at CMBG3 Law. Harshita, how would you help Belly solve her problem? Do you have some thoughts?
Oh, I have so many thoughts. We can go on for hours, but the way we address this issue of incorporating AI is by my dog vexes, right?
We like that. Pets are welcome on the show. What's your dog's name?
Milo. He was vexing at the problem as well.
What a great name for a dog.
Right. The thing is, the way we solve this problem is by having open conversation and talking about what are the concerns that we have about AI, because it's such a polarizing topic in law firms. I don't think in the corporate world it is as much so, but in law firms, there tends to be a huge fear, and I think rightfully so, amongst older attorneys to incorporate AI into the workflow.
It's a thing. That's fair to say.
And I honestly don't think any of it is very unfounded. And I honestly have concerns myself about how we implement AI and what areas we're implementing it in, because it will reshape the way junior associates are needed and the way admin and paralegals operate as well. So the way we do this is I recommend, and this is what we did at my firm, is we started an AI committee where every quarter we meet and we discuss new developments in AI, whether that be technology. We discuss new case law that has come up about privilege and concerns we may have around that. And then we have discussions about where it could be used, where are we comfortable in using it. And a lot of the conversations lately I've actually been having and we've been bringing up is, how will AI affect young associates' growth and development? And that's something that is a real concern that I have for myself and a lot of younger associates I see coming in.
Let's put a pin in that. We'll definitely talk about that. I got 2 follow-up questions for you on that. So it's interesting. I kind of frame this as like old dudes don't want to talk about AI. But is there like a fear on the part of newer associates that this shit is going to take my job?
I think
Is there some reluctance? Yeah.
Well, I don't think I think this is a lot more of a nuanced issue than is it going to take my job? How is it going to affect my job? And is it going to make my life easier, or is it going to make it harder? And when I say that, we need to back up a little bit, because we need to kind of talk about culture in law firms. We need to talk about big law, mid-sized.
Are you sure?
I'm not going to point out anybody in specifics. I'm just going to talk in generalities, because I don't like getting in trouble either. But in a lot of law firms, I don't even think this is necessarily a big law thing. There are quick turnarounds. There are high expectations to be billing a lot, doing a lot of work. So young associates are tired. They're exhausted, right? And then also we throw in just everything that's happening in terms of like job security, with the current economic state of the country. Everybody's like, I need to work.
Doing great, I hear.
Yeah, we're winning.
We're kicking ass.
We're winning. We're getting tired of winning. There's a lot of stress. And so a lot of attorneys, associates, we've heard the horror stories of in a brief, there's a hallucinated case and then the firm and the partner gets sanctioned. And it happens when we really we got to say the quiet part out loud. Associates are tired and they're looking for other places to relieve some of the pressure. That's where it's going in.
That's interesting.
Used incorrectly. It's saying if it means I get 10 extra minutes to breathe today, whatever. And I don't even think it's.
But on the other side, if it's fucking stuff up, now you got a bigger problem on your hands.
You got a bigger problem, right? So that's why I'm saying we have to get to the bottom of. There's so many. Let me back up here. There are so many reasons for why AI can be a great thing, but there are so many ways that this can go horrendously wrong. And that's something that is really important to talk about, that we're not talking about enough in especially a very litigious capitalistic country that the United States is. We tend to look at efficiency. We tend to say, how can we make more money? How can we improve our margins? But what we're not asking is, how is this going to affect us in the future in terms of development for young associates? And
we never talk about the singularity, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a really complicated topic that's hard to get into for just like 30 to 40 minutes. So I'm going to like do my best to espouse my wisdom. But we are seeing a high workload for a vast majority of junior attorneys. And a lot of them are using, the term I'm sure you've heard of, like shadow AI. They're using AI when they're probably not supposed to relieve some of that stress. And there's a lot of,
I think like that's most of the AI usage at this point, shadow AI.
Right. And that's really dangerous. Like we shouldn't be doing that. And it's also a failure on part of partners for not checking in on their associates, seeing how are you doing? Is the workload too much? There's that also. There's a culture where, you have to be willing to grind out 2,600 hours as a young associate to earn your keep. But we're not talking about what that's doing to younger associates and what younger associates in Gen Z and millennials are looking for in their firm life, right? So I remember Thomson Reuters or Bloomberg. No, I'm sorry. It was Bloomberg. Scratch that. It was Bloomberg did a whole study about amongst big law junior associates and mid-level associates and junior partners about what they valued the most. And what they found was mid-size attorney, mid-level associates and junior associates. While they enjoyed the pay, they were willing to take a pay cut if it meant less hours that they had to work, right?
I would be very tempted if I was working at a law firm. I'm just going to lay it out there. And I was a young associate. You know what I'd be doing? I'd be fucking building my AI agent associate and feeding on my work through there.
That is
consequences be damned.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the dangerous thing. We don't want to be doing that. We don't want to do that because
well, I would, but
oh, no, right. I mean, it's the pressure. You're exhausted, the time, and now the culture shift is Gen Z does not want to. I don't want to say does not want to work. That's actually a bad way for me to phrase that. So I want to scratch that. We value work-life balance more, right? Because
that's true and fair.
And we want to have a life, and that is more than being an attorney. We don't want our entire identity to be an attorney, and we're only going to be in our 20s and 30s once. We want to be able to enjoy our life as well, and we want to be able to be good lawyers. And one thing the partner I work for all the time, he says, is a happy lawyer is a good lawyer. A well-rested lawyer is a good lawyer. And in a lot of law firms, I'm very lucky, so I can't say that to be the case for me. A lot of law firms don't really value that. They're like, bill, output to hell. We just need good billing numbers.
Yeah, that's true. Like as the representative old man on this podcast, like when I was getting jobs as a lawyer back in the day, like it was like, yes, sir, whatever you would like, ride me to dust. But now it's not like that. And I think it's a good thing that people are speaking up.
It's boundaries. We're holding boundaries. I think as younger associates, we're trying to. I mean, I'm terrible at saying no to assignments. It's one thing that I've been told, like, you can say no, you know that, right? And I'm like, but I'm scared too. I want to do,
But yeah.
but can I? I can at my firm. So I don't want to make it seem like not the partners are like that. My firm, they're great in that sense. They definitely are like, please say no. If you can't, that's okay. Like, so, but younger associates are starting to use shadow AI because they need something to turn to. And because there's such high turnaround numbers, partners aren't double checking the work that.
And it's so hard to police that anyway.
It is. And when
almost impossible.
It's bottom up, right? So when when the young person isn't putting out the right work, the next person who's looking at it, it all affects the chain of command up, and it backfires because there's not also an open and transparent discussion about the use of AI, because young associates are scared of getting penalized for using it, thought of as dumber. And so a lot of them won't disclose when they use it. And that's what we shouldn't be doing. We should be encouraging a healthy use of it. We need to be vetting software that we use. We need to have a list, it may be short, and that's a conversation we'll get into, of AI tools you can use to free up time. But there are certain things, certain tasks that we should not be, as young associates, using for AI. Like we should not be offloading them to AI.
Let's talk about that a little bit in the context of so you've got this committee, you meet regularly. What kind of decisions have you made in terms of like what software have you adopted and or allowed people to use, and what's been your process in determining like what's viable and what's not? And if you want, you can talk about specific tools on here.
So we are still vetting a lot of software to implement, but so far we have used Lexis AI, their AI tool. We are vetting using Everlaw right now, and launching
e-discovery platform for the
e-discovery platforms.
Also e-discovery, yeah.
Yep. So that's where we are kind of looking to slowly implement. I have taken this approach, and I will continue to take this approach, that when it comes to onboarding AI software as a law firm, we need to take a slow and gradual approach. We do not need to be rushing to implement AI. And I have a lot of reasons for that. And one great thing that our firm has kind of steadfast in is AI will not take anybody's job. We are not going to onboard an AI tool and then be like, okay, we don't need admins and paralegals. We're going to stack about half of them. We're not doing that. That's not the way we navigate. And I truly do believe law firms and companies that will be successful in the future are the ones that aren't anti-AI or super pro AI. They take a very moderate, level-headed approach to it. They say nobody's job is going away, but your job is just going to change its description slightly.
Which is sort of the opposite approach that Jack Dorsey just took with his company, where he's basically like, we're firing 50% of our headcount and we're going to replace them with AI.
It's just, that's, I think, such a bad way to go about doing things, because you're going to wind up.
I don't know that if I'd be taking any strategy advice from tech bros, but anyway, go ahead.
That's a conversation for another day. But it's really important that we slowly onboard AI tools. And the reason why, aside from the security risks, right? Because this is all so new, and there's an evolution at a pace we can't even count. It's head spinning every day. There's
Moore's Law is a bitch for sure.
Really, every day I wake up and I'm like, God damn it, something new. I have so much. I'm gonna have to look at this on the weekend. It's absolutely it's so much noise. But the reason why I say, as law firms, we need to have a slow, steady, integrated approach for tools is because it will impact the junior associates the most. And paralegals and admins, but let's focus on junior associates. AI is being sold. A lot of AI software like CoCounsel, I believe, from like Thomson Reuters, a bunch of software, that's not just them, I don't want to single them out. A lot of them sell it that, oh, you can reduce the billable hours, you can offload due diligence, document review, legal research from junior associates so they can do high level thinking. There is a huge problem with that. We cannot cognitively offload those tasks from junior associates because they are critical in building skill to do higher level strategy tasks. If you don't know how to do a due diligence report, you're not going to know how to do strategy later. If you do not know how to do a document review, you will never be able to parse out what is important, what is not. If you're not doing legal research on your own, reading the whole case, as tedious and irritating as it can be, if you are not sitting and doing that, you are missing key nuance and arguments and knowledge that could be helpful to you later. It's so detrimental to cognitively offload these tasks to AI. It will reduce critical thinking skills amongst young associates, and that is going to make bad partners in 15 years.
I agree. So how do you combat that?
Well, how we combat that is by, one, being very slow in how we integrate AI and how we train junior associates. We cannot, the thing is, as much as I would like to say, yay to AI, let's do it all, who cares? It's a job. It's not. Being an attorney is not just a job. It's an ethical duty. It is more than a job. It is not just creating spreadsheets. You're advocating for people. You're advocating for companies, which if they get hit with a big lawsuit or if they get hit with a big verdict, a lot of people are getting laid off. You have to, a lot of things hang in the balance as an attorney, right? And we need to make sure we are slowly integrating AI to where we are not taking away skills that junior associates need. And the way we do that is by what we allow junior associates to use AI for and what we don't allow them to use it for. How we make sure that the work balance that we give, the caseload we give to junior associates is doable, it's fair, it is manageable so they don't feel the need to outsource and secretively use AI tools when it shouldn't be necessary.
So you view this as like a work allocation issue, really?
It is. I do think a lot, that would be very reductive for me to say that's the only reason why things are, that is not the case. I do think it is.
Yeah, but it's a reason. Yeah.
It is a reason that we do need to talk about. It's an elephant in the room. But what we also can do when we are implementing AI into a firm is we start doing rotations with junior associates to where we have them learn different tasks that integrate AI. So making sure that they learn, well, let's put this in two buckets. One, we make sure that they are still doing legal research. They're doing drafting on their own. They're not letting that be outsourced. They're doing doc reviews. They're part of docu reviews. Even if AI is involved in that document review, they are also heavily human in the loop involved. But also what we do is we need to slowly transition, and we can have, for example, a couple of junior associates whose part of their job is to be an AI compliance specialist, right? They understand the AI model that they're using and they're able to manage and evaluate the risks of using it. And it would help them set usage policies or see potential vendor claims, do kind of compliance audits. It helps them work with that as well within the firm. Another could be a legal data analyst, right? So they can map the history of certain cases and clients into usable structures and outcomes, and seeing what fact patterns we see repeatedly. And we can make like an internal strategy playbook, right? Another thing could be a knowledge curator, like a knowledge operation curator. So it's somebody who updates, the cases that have come out about, AI usage and ethics. How can we manage also the local rules that are developing for AI usage? Kind of manage I don't want to say business development aspect, but kind of the rules that the other lawyers need to be aware of when using AI.
Yeah,
And then
so you're almost thinking about this as like, this almost changes the job description as well.
it will. I mean, it's going to change it's going to shift what junior attorneys are used for, but we do need to be very careful about how we do that shift. It can't be an all at once. It has to be integrated into law school education, because we need to make sure junior attorneys are building foundational skills in order to become partners one day. That's the dangerous thing. Because then if we, so here's the thing. I hear this a lot when these software is being pitched, when a lot of law firms talk about it, especially bigger law firms. And by big law firms, I'm talking greater than 100. Okay. 100 attorneys. We talk about efficiency. That's what we care about. But what is a problem is we're using efficiency and sacrificing judgment. And when we take away the skills junior associates need to build to be able to have judgment, we really erode a very critical learning process. Because as a junior attorney, you are allowed to, I don't want to say allowed to, but you are safe to make mistakes and learn because you have people overseeing you. That is crucial. You can't expect somebody to not have done due diligence, not done a lot of legal research, not done doc reviews, and then be able to do strategy. You can't expect somebody who has not had to do, for example, page line summaries of a deposition testimony.
You got to put in the work.
You got to put in and it builds a muscle. You have to build that muscle to use it. Like if you don't draft a summary judgment motion for a year and then you're asked to draft a summary judgment motion, it's going to take you a hot minute to do that in comparison to if you've been doing it multiple times. It's the same thing, right? With being able to pick out what's important, what's not. It's all small skills that we are sacrificing in the sake of efficiency. And it's going to mess up judgment down the line if we're not careful.
Right. You brought this up too, and I think this is interesting. Like, you've been out of law school for a little bit, but like I'm sure you talked to new attorneys who've come out of the law school. How are the law schools doing?
Not great.
Of AI education.
Not great. Tutor is a hot take, and I might get yelled at for this, but I tutor law students on the weekend because I enjoy teaching and mentoring. I find it a lot of fun.
Good for you. Who would yell at you for that? Let's be real.
Oh, no. What my hot take is, I will get yelled at for. I do think critical thinking and critical reasoning have gone down sharply since 2024. 2023? Is that what
critical thinking in America is fucking abysmal.
Oh, it's gone. It's
Get
gone.
your shit together, people.
But I would hope law students wouldn't, right? Because
one would hope.
One would hope. I tutor law students, and these aren't dumb kids by any means. These are kids who have potential to be quite bright. But
theoretically, like the top of the class.
Sure. Yeah, theoretically, yes. Yeah. But it's the reluctance to do the work because the tool is there. So we've seen this. I mean, I think this is a long time coming when technology evolves. Like, for example, when you were in law school, and I'm not trying to expose your age, but how readily available was Google for you when you were in law school? Fairly.
I'm happy to talk about my ancientness.
Okay.
When I was in college, I used Netscape Navigator to research.
But probably most of your researching that you had to do, you had to go to a library, you had to open the book.
In law school, they made us go to the library. Although we had computers available, but they still made us go to the library.
Right. So you had
and then I would check the sundial to see what time it was. But go ahead.
After walking through, 10 miles of trail and snow and heat at the same time. Right.
Yeah. Pretty much.
When he was doing his PhD. But you had to internalize information because it wasn't readily accessible to you. So you had to read, you had to go through the skill of reading, like you had to copy it. So not like back up 5 steps. You had to go to the library. You had to look for the book. You had to find the book. If you'd had to go through probably multiple books to find what you were looking for. And then you had to scan it if you had the scanner, and then you had to highlight it. You'd have to make note, write it, then you'd go back home. But that information got internalized because it wasn't readily accessible.
All real things that happened. Yes.
Right. And for me, I grew up when, Google was there, but it was when I remember in middle school, if I had a history homework sheet, I remember having to hunt on Google for the answer. It wasn't readily available. I would remember using
Right.
Yahoo Answers when answering them history worksheet. I couldn't find it in the textbook. You still had to do the hunting and gathering. But now with AI, a lot of them don't have to do that. It's so readily accessible. Nobody's internalizing information because it can be easily retrieved again. And that is that is terrible. And also,
So they're kind of relying on the output, using AI
relying
as a
on the
resource
output.
to collect information and come back to. Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about Quimby. Quimby, I used it in law school. I'm not going to make myself seem holier than thou that I didn't. For one thing I did make it a point to do was read the case first before I turned to Quimby. If I couldn't understand what the point of it was, then we go there. But a lot of students are using Quimby as the first stop instead of reading the case. And that's a huge problem because you are missing dicta. You are missing really important nuances, and your textbook may want you to get one thing out of the case, but Quimby may be summarizing a completely different point. So that is there. Now with AI, a lot of them aren't even bothering to do that. A lot of them are just putting it in AI and being like, this is the case. What was the summary? And then they'll ask the questions and then it'll give an output. That's not great. We need to sit and actually do the analysis. You have to do the grunt work of, case briefing, of going through all of this and sorting what information is important. You have to read 50 pages for a class for the next class, but maybe out of those 50 pages, 15 are really important, but figuring out what 15 pages are actually important is the exercise. It's the hunting and gathering. So the resourcefulness in law students has gone down amongst the critical thinking. But I do think that's a countrywide problem. We've taken a big hit in that department. And
resourcefulness is problematic. And AI is also an affirmation engine, which says everything that you do is great.
Right.
Sometimes you're not doing great shit.
But AI is as good as the information that it's fed to and trained on. So, and it's implicit, it's just going to be biased. It is. So everybody is biased. No, it's not fair for me to say AI is biased and humans aren't. Humans are too. And it's through our lived experiences that we are biased, right? But
they did create the AI.
Right. But there was a study I read from Duke Center of Teaching and Learning like a few months ago, where there was a research study that came out that students who used LLMs that were focused on a narrow set of ideas, they tend to form more superficial and biased analysis.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there's like a very weird catch-22 that we're in right now. We have to figure out, how do we train young attorneys to use AI? Because sadly, that is how things are going to be moving forward without sacrificing skills that are necessary for judgment. And that is something that is not going to be solved today in 30 minutes. I don't know if I have the wisdom to solve that right now. That is something we just have to see how things play out. But we do have to be very cautious with the approach we take. We shouldn't treat AI like a foe, but we also can't treat it like our best friend.
So the other thing you brought up, which is interesting, is this accountability question. Mm-hmm. This whole notion of like, there needs to be a throat to choke, right? But if you're using AI for legal services, or attorneys are depending on AI results for legal services, and the client's pissed off at someone, what happens there?
Well, I mean, I think I need you
the responsibility of AI. Can you?
Well, we can't offload judgment, and using AI is not a defense for anything right now. You can't outsource that. You're ultimately accountable. And we have to be very careful about how AI is used. And you need to make sure that you are talking to your clients and how they feel about using AI, because it also becomes like a billing issue, which is, it can be fraudulent if you're not careful, right? So you have to be very careful about what your client policies are, which is something that we make it a point to talk about very routinely, because those change, because AI has changed so much. Some clients are like, sure, we're okay. A lot of my practice areas requires people to do a lot of medical document reviews. That is thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of medical records.
Perfect use case for AI if there ever was one.
Sure, but junior associates aren't doing that. It's a lot of the paralegals are doing the medical records review, and they're
Right.
gathering what the total for the damages could be. And that is a very helpful place it can be. But when it comes to reading through medical notes, we don't really want to outsource that to AI because there are some important nuggets that we could gather from a plaintiff. So I do defense side work in product liability, and I do some employment, but for our product liability cases, it is important for us to be able to see, oh, wait, he was a smoker. That's important for us to know. And he's claiming this product gave him lung cancer. So these kind of things, humans pick that up. And also, for example, recently, I have a matter that may be going to trial. So a partner and I were discussing doing page line summaries of the fact witness depositions. And some of these new companies that do depositions are now giving AI summaries. And they're crap. They're not good. They're not pulling out what's important. That's not relevant to me, but that is, and you didn't point that out. So doing these tedious tasks that can make you itch, because that's how annoying they can be. They're very important though. It helps. It just helps with case building. So when it comes to accountability, we can't be accountable until we're transparent. We can't have a conversation about accountability until we're transparent and we anticipate pitfalls and we talk about it openly. We have to do that. As a law firm, partners have to talk to associates about that. And that starts with having a good mentorship relationship with the partner you work for and the associate. And there needs to be that level of trust where you can talk about workload. I think that's a big part of it. How is an associate feeling? Do they feel like they're learning? And there's also more social differences that have made that harder to do. For example, because of COVID, a lot of firms have realized, wait, work from home is a thing, remote thing. Let's do that. And I love working remote. My firm does remote and hybrid. I love it. But there is a part.
Of course. Milo has been very interested in this whole segment, just so you know.
Oh, yes. He's co-counsel.
He's wrapped.
He's co-counsel. He walked the graduation stage. Well, he didn't walk the stage, but he came with me to graduation at Georgetown. And
He's practically got a degree.
He had a bow tie, a Juris dog tour bandana on, and a cap. Georgetown took a picture of him, posted it on their website. Screw me. Like, was you decoration, apparently. But because of remote work, more firms have turned to that. That's been an appealing thing. And as much as I love it, you do lose. There's like a mentorship gap. You lose that physical connection with a partner. The ability to be able to walk into an office and say, hey, I have a question, instead of teamsing them, it's something you can't put a price on that. But with that being said, when partners, my entire point that I want to wrap back to is it helps if partners are willing to talk to their associates and have a relationship that is strong and saying, what's going on? How can your life be made easier so you can learn what you need to learn and we can move forward? What are problems you're seeing? How do we work through that? And a lot of that starts with relationships, and you can't really hold. My entire point is accountability can only come from transparency and honesty.
How should lawyers address usage of AI with clients?
Again, open and honest conversation. It can just start with, how do you feel about AI use if it means your bills might be lower? How do you feel about that? It just has to be.
I'm feeling pretty good.
I'm feeling great, and it means I get to spend less. It's having an open and honest conversation at the end of the day about, how do you feel about us onboarding this tool. It can start with this tool, right? So if you want to onboard, for example, Logical or Everlaw, you have to talk to your big clients about, how do you feel about having paralegals do medical reviews? It'll save you X amount of money. That's the way you have that conversation with clients. Are they okay with that? Or would they rather have a paralegal look at it, right? So, and then telling them how you would implement it in your workflow. Is also important. Saying it's not that the AI is going to do everything and our paralegal is going to drool in a cup. That's not the case. It's the paralegal will oversee it, will make sure it's accurate, will cross-reference it, but it will ultimately save time because they don't have to go through every single document. And then same with junior associates. Like, how would the junior associates be using it? Well, is it going to be for drafting answers? Oh, hell no. No, we don't want to do that. What will it be used for? If we have a document production that is, we recently had one for one case where it was like all hands on deck for one client. It was somewhere like if I'm not, I don't know if I'm right to quote me on the number, but it was somewhere like $500,000. That was a lot to throw through. And, you know, Everlaw was a great tool, even though I don't, you know, it's how do we, everybody's using it. Everybody's human in the loop. Everybody's making sure we're cross-referencing. It's that we need to be explicitly honest with a client about how that's happening. You have to be transparent.
Yeah. Okay. We like to do, this has been great. Like we dived into the AI pretty deeply here. And I appreciate the perspective of like what are associates looking for? Because we haven't covered that a ton on this podcast series. We like to do a fun question. So
Go for it.
You've traveled around. I need you to tell me what the best city in the world is, and you only get to choose one.
Jeez.
I believe in you. You can do it.
I want to give a lawyer answer of, well, it depends on what you're looking for.
Oh, come on. Give me the one. Give me the one.
The best city I would say I've lived in, I will put it this way.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
I'm going to have to say right now, it's got to be Boston.
No, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've
Wow.
lived, it's kind
Are
of,
you wearing a Dunkin' Donuts tracksuit right now?
I am not wearing a suit. So a purple suit, but it's a fresh fit. No, I'm not. I actually don't like Dunkin's that much, which I will get crucified for. But I
say
do
that.
love, I know, but I do love.
Ben Affleck's going to be very upset.
Oh, Ben Affleck isn't going to know who I am. Who am I to Ben Affleck? But I love Boston. I love the vibe. I love the people. They're a very, we bully each other, but nobody else can bully you kind of people. I love that.
Yeah, that's yes.
And I do love I love Massachusetts in general because of the healthcare. It's great up here. Can't complain about it.
Healthcare is good.
I've lived in Texas, Indiana. I've lived in DC. I've lived in Europe. So I will say right now, Boston is kind of my favorite.
Hell yeah. You heard it here first, everybody. Boston, the greatest city in the world. I kind of knew it. Harshita, thank you. This was great. I had a lot of fun. Thank you for coming on the show.
Of course. Thank you. This was a lot of fun.
All right, everybody. Today, we spoke with Harshita Ganesh of CMBG3 Law. It may be like one of the better law firm names because they're just like, let's not just even do names. Let's do initials because lawyer names tend to be hard to pronounce. For more from Harshita and CMBG3.com, CMBG3 Law, visit their website, which I've already alluded to, CMBG3.com. CMBG3.com. Check them out. 3 people with the last name G. That's how they made the name. Join us for our next episode when I'll tell you about that time I introduced Brian Wilson to the electrotheremin. Yes, that was me. Or we'll just do another legal tech Q&A, I suppose. That's more in line with what we do. Twist my arm. See you next time, everybody.